everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Person Behind the Pen. I am Nick, your host, and I am the owner of Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing. I apologize if these videos were a bit glitchy, and I'm pretty sure that I'm moving in slow mo as well. Having a little bit of tech trouble today. However, I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming to spend this time with us again this week. Very excited for today's guest, Lynn Hallbrooks. Many of you out there actually know her. She's always a huge supporter of everything everyone is doing, myself included. So it is such an honor to be able to feature her here today. So what's going on with Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing? We always start off there. Well, there is a lot. Outside of the anthologies that we're currently working on, the co-authors call just went out last week for Men, Money, and Mental Health. If you have never contributed to a collaborative book and are interested in sharing your story in a chapter, please reach out to me and let me know. Next, I want to share that the Transformation Kitchen Cookbook that was published by Guiding Brilliant Writers, pro bono effort toward HR4U and Chasing Four Hands project, TK Kitchen, is on fire. Oh my goodness, there are social media posts everywhere with people with the book, people unveiling, talking about the recipes. I am so thrilled because all of the funds go toward the Transformation Kitchen project, uplifting lives through helping people learn a culinary skill, life skills, including how to become an entrepreneur. And we give them the opportunity to go out and earn a living wage and to be able to provide for their families and communities. If you have not gotten your copy and you would like to order a copy of the Transformation Kitchen Cookbook, please reach out to me directly and I will collect your information. These are coming out to you from Cheeson with a handwritten note. Okay, I want to say hi before I continue on to our friends out there. Jackie Halberg, it is so wonderful to see you. Hello, my friend. My darling Leslie Flowers, tuning in from North Carolina, as well as my neighbor Stephen Eng, just about, I think, 20, maybe 30 minutes from me at most. And Yolanda, it's so wonderful to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so what else is going on in the world of Guiding Brilliant Writers? I had to make a note because honestly, there is so much. You might have noticed I am wearing my Guiding Brilliant Writers t-shirt back to front. I am. Because I just realized this is on the back of the t-shirt and you never get to really appreciate this part when I'm live. And what does it say? It says, if this shirt had a plot, I'd be halfway through it. Oh my goodness, I just absolutely adore this blurb. Hence the reason I have the shirt on backward today. So, exciting things coming. Yep, we got new merch on the way from Guiding Brilliant Writers dropping very soon. I mean, we need these summer tags, don't we? And we have a very special journal just for you to pen all those beautiful stories coming out as well. So please look out for that. Okay, I do believe I got everything. And if I did not, oh well, next show, because we have to jump on to Lynn. All right, so I want to say hi quickly to a couple of people that just joined. Hello, Meryl from New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us. And hola, Felipe. So nice to see you. Okay, so let's get on with getting Lynn up here. I'm going to do a read of her bio, and we're going to bring her right on up. Lynn Hallbrooks is an Air Force veteran, independent author, and positivity promoter whose eclectic career spans healthcare, fiction, and nonfiction writing, community uplift, and creative exploration in the kitchen. Yes, she did put a recipe in Transformation Kitchen Cookbook. She co-created the Call Sign Wrecking Crew series, contributed to the We Are the World blog fest, and continues to inspire others through her storytelling, encouragement, and practical creativity. If you follow Lynn at all on LinkedIn, you would read, I'm sure, some of the incredible stories that she's put out there. And so you understand very well what a master word weaver this woman is. When I read her stories, I feel it. I feel like, if you know this one, I'm on the train, I'm walking with the conductor. I can feel the paper tickets. It's crazy. She is somebody that I so aspire to write like. And I'm really grateful that she is in my circle of friends. So let me say hi to Jason because we did just mention you and that Lynn does have a recipe in the Transformation Kitchen Cookbook. Okay, enough yapping on my part. Let us get our guest up here. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. Howdy to everybody in the audience.
Oh gosh, this has been long coming, and I am going to be as transparent as I always am. So I had booked Lynn in, and I completely screwed up the schedule. Now, this is not something I do very often, mind you. And I said, Lynn, oh my goodness, blah blah blah. She was like, Nick, no problem. When are you available again? And I gave her the next dates, and oh my goodness, it helps so much to be a part of a community and have friends who give you that grace. And I just want to thank you for that. I over the years I've gotten to know a lot of people, and everybody's busy doing their own thing. People's lives go on, and I never like to not honor people's time. And yeah, you just were so cool about it, and I want to say thanks for that.
Well, you're
So,
welcome. I know how it goes. I'm a busy person as well.
right. So let's say hello to Belinda. Belinda just popped in. She's saying hi to you. And we also want to
She's my
say,
bestie.
sorry?
Belinda's my bestie. Belinda
Oh,
is my best.
oh, goodness gracious. And we want to say hi to Jay as well. Okay. So, Lynn, tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us a little bit about who Lynn is. I did read your bio. Of course, I am dying to know what you did in the Air Force because things like that just automatically intrigue me. And I would love to know as well, was storytelling always in your blood? Is it something you wanted to do while you were in the military? Did complete your tour and then decide, nope, I want to become a storyteller? Like, how did this even transpire?
Oh, that's a lot. Well, I went into the Air Force right out of high school, practically, like within a couple of months. And when I was in high school, I wrote a few things, but it was outside of the class. But even during some of my classes, I had one of those advanced English classes where I got to read more advanced books, and that was really cool. And I've always been a reader. But once I went in the Air Force, and what I did in the Air Force was basically medical records. I learned how to file them. I had learned how to file paper. Then later on, I learned how to code. And so when I got out, there wasn't an open position to do coding when I in the medical records department, but there was an opportunity to be a unit secretary at a chemical dependency unit.
Hmm,
So that was my very first job in the civilian world, was as a unit secretary for a chemical dependency unit, and it was for adolescents. So I
wow.
learned a lot about that. I was barely older than most of the teenagers
Yeah,
at the
because you
time.
joined right out of high school, you said, right?
Yeah, I went into the Air Force. I spent nearly 7 years in the Air Force. And then I went in and I was like 25, 24, something like that. So I was barely older than some of these people that we were treating.
I wonder if that, in a sense, made you more relatable, especially given the career that you were in, and they could see that a young person could, in fact, have these types of aspirations and go out and achieve them. Well, that is wonderful that you did that type of work, and I'm not the least bit surprised, even if that were not the direction you're going. And medical billing and coding, I know is like a field that they always need people in. So
Mm-hmm.
you got quite a wonderful skill set there. But let's move on to the other skill set, shall we? Let's talk about the
Well,
storytelling. And
yeah,
this,
but the other part of the other end of that, when I decided that I wanted to stop doing being a coding specialist, partly was because I was burned out. But at that point, I said, "What are my options?" And my daughter said to me, she goes, "Mom, do what you love." So I said, "Well, I could either sing or I could write." And knowing my singing, I sing pretty well, but I didn't think I could do it professionally, so I went with writing.
what? Okay, you are not
Yeah.
getting off the hook. You are still going to sing something for us today before you leave. We'll sing something together. I love to sing too. I don't sing very well, but I love to sing. This is awesome.
Yeah, I do love to sing. I sing to the kitty cats all the time. I make up stuff.
Listen, you're a storyteller and you sing. Okay, so yes, you could totally have storytelling songs. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's feeding both types of creativity and talent right there.
Well,
So
you know how people make up words to the songs that already exist? That's what I do.
that's good because now you already have the beat going. Oh my goodness. Well, so many people are here to say hello. Jairus is here and Mary Kay. Christy is here as well. Sean Michael is here. My goodness, lady, you are known, you are loved, and I just want you to see all the people that are out there that tuned in today. And no doubt everybody's as excited as I am to have you read one of your short stories. So tell us the name of the book that you are going to be reading from and tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay. Well, the name of the book is Animals, Acrobatics, Attitude, and Amore. And all of those elements are in the combined short stories. So the one that I'm going to read is about a frog
A frog.
and the violinist. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, friends out
But
there.
yeah, but let me back up a second. The
Sure.
reason this book came about was because I was part of it was a website, but it had blogging, but it also had these writing contests. And some of my fellow authors were in it. And so I joined in and I did what I could. And so I didn't always win. I was sometimes in the top three, but it was just fun because we each read each other's stuff and we would comment and it was that I learned a lot from doing all that. I learned about how to improve myself and so on. And then after she stopped having the contest, I went and said to her, would it be okay with you if I made a book out of this and I would put companion pieces to the short stories that I penned for the contest? And she said, go for it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you started writing not even in the beginning, with the intention of putting together a book with this. That kind of, happened organically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's, you know, I'm glad you shared that because I think a lot of times we see the finished product, we see the author when they are launched, and even when they do talk about it, took 3 years to write this manuscript. I was like interviewing editors, and oftentimes we don't talk about either a defining moment or something that we experienced, that we were a part of, that ignited a passion and drove you to continue along that path. So I think it's so kind of you to mention this group and what they did for you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
how did I mean? So you mentioned that, I get that you mentioned a little bit of each of these is in the stories, but I just the title is different. Could you speak to the title a little bit before we dive into the story?
I love alliteration.
I knew it. That's why I have men, money, and mental health.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I
Yep.
have Between Bells. So do I.
Yes, I love it. I love it. My other book that I wrote is a nonfiction, and it's called Helpful Household Hints for Harried Humans.
I saw it. I saw it. So we will talk about that when we play the video again, because
Yeah.
you have quite a few books out there. I mean, and it's some very different genres. I'm tickled to
Yeah.
death like this because you're an all-round writer. So
You,
wonderful audience. I want to see some hearts up here for Lynn. I want to see some blue hearts up here, thanking her for her service in the Air Force, as well as being here with us tonight. And yeah, I need to see the hearts so I can get this lady reading her story. Let's do this if you're out there. Lynn, so please, whenever you are ready, let's dive into this story.
okay. The first pair, because I have subsections for each pair, and this first one is Music of Life. And you'll understand why in a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you the stipulations that I was under when I did this very first short story. The stipulations were the submission must be between 250 to 600 words. And she would allow no more than a 5-word variance from this. If you include a title, the words in that do not count toward the total. You must include a frog and violin in the story. They do not have to be central elements, but must make some kind of notable appearance.
What? So you were given like legit parameters to do this? Oh my God, this wasn't even off the top of your head.
No, no,
Oh,
yeah,
I am dying to hear this.
yeah.
Seriously.
So the first story is titled "The Frog and the Violinist." Um, a frog named Red is on a street corner in downtown Houston. Red was brought on a bus from New Orleans by mistake. After being unceremoniously dumped off the Greyhound bus, Red tried to find his bearings. Red turned when he heard a little jazz rhythm. He saw a man playing a violin on the opposite street corner. Curious, Red hopped a few feet closer. Suddenly, Red heard a great rumbling sound. He looked up to see a shiny object that looked like a streetcar. Knowing from experience that streetcars are dangerous to frogs, he waited. Soon there were all these people coming out. Red hopped over feet. Excuse me. Once, Red bounced so high that he saw some polka dotted underwear. People started moving from side to side, but basically ignored Red's plight. Undaunted, Red finally found a place to rest on a planter. After the shiny streetcar left clattering away, Red heard the violinist again. He peeked over the planter and saw that he was even further away. Red rested a moment longer in order to get up his strength. Suddenly, a robust looking woman walking a cat came along. Just above the cap was a large straw purse. Aha, thought Red. He jumped into the purse as the woman crossed the street. As the woman turned right, Red leaped out onto the sidewalk into the open violin case. The violinist nodded to Red as he continued to play his jazz piece. Red sang his throaty song in time with the violinist. Passers-by began tossing even more coins in the case. Red danced between the clinks of metal on metal. The violinist smiled at Red. That night, Red is adopted by the violinist. They both lived happily ever after. I wrote this 26 June 2011.
Oh my goodness, you have been doing this a long time, lady.
Uh-huh.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, my very first, I should say, our very first book was published January of 2011. So it
Wow.
wasn't long after I first
Okay.
published my first book.
I'm very honored to be in your company, to call myself your friend. And, every published book, it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be around stigmas. It doesn't have to, and I say this, I publish mostly around stigmas. I don't know if you guys in the audience out there were listening. There is something so beautiful in a simple story that invites almost childlike imagination into it. And she was given these parameters of it had to have a frog, it had to have a violinist, and she created an entire scenario around this, getting off the wrong bus, the shiny streetcar being dangerous to frogs. I mean, like, she gave this frog a personality and a thought process of how he was going to get where he was going. I mean, I don't know, I'm tickled pink by it. I'm a storyteller myself. And so when I hear these types of stories, it lifts my spirits so much because I work in so much nonfiction. And I am listening to this and I'm going in my head, girl, you need to create a storybook. You need like a little animated thing about Red. I mean, this is awesome. Sorry, I'm very overly enthusiastic because I happen to really enjoy all types of stories. So
Yeah. Well, you'll love this one because it's about a year later.
okay.
Hi, NA.
Beautiful, right, Meryl? Yeah. So we get another one.
Yes, yes.
All right.
We
Whoop, whoop, let's go.
get the companion story.
Get out. I'm ready.
Okay. Victor the violinist. The violinist now has a name. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Belinda was one of the first readers of this book.
Oh my goodness. And it's Victor the violinist. They're back to the alliteration. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is the companion story. It continues on. I can't wait.
Okay. And Victor the violinist and Red the frog made many people happy with their music and dancing. After working together for less than a year, they earned enough money to open the Violin and Frog. That's the name of the building. The small theater was not far from where the musical duo met. It was within those walls where Red resided and Victor rehearsed. Red loved living in the huge terrarium shaped like a two-story house with his family. Red met his wife, Indigo, during his trips around the city with Victor. It was love at first sight. After a brief courtship, the two were married. Not long afterwards, Indigo delivered twins whom they named Barry and Coralie. Their whole lives, Barry and Coralie listened as Victor played his violin. Their unconscious response to the rhythm was to bounce their behinds. One day, Barry and his father, excuse me, one day Barry asked his father, "Can frogs play a violin?" Red thought about it. "Well, I'm not sure how they could. I've been watching Victor for a long time now. He has fingers that press on the strings. Plus, look how big the violin is." Barry nodded his little head. "Excuse me, your mother needs me." As Red hopped away, Coralie whispered to her brother, "He may be right. We're not like Victor. Maybe we can find some other way to make music." Before Barry could reply, the outside door of the theater thumped open. A tall man with brown hair walked in with a blonde-haired woman. They were each carrying black cases. The man called out, "Victor, we're here." Victor came from stage left. "Ah, Francesca and Albert, I'm so glad you're here. Miranda should be here shortly. I was just about to set up the chairs. Say hello to Red and his family." Albert placed his large case against the stage. "You need a hand, Victor?" "Sure, if you don't mind." Albert walked up the side steps. "Not at all, old friend." Francesca walked over to the terrarium and placed her long fingers against the glass. "The twins are adorable." As Barry plastered on a fake smile, he spoke through gritted teeth. "Adorable is such a girly word." Coralie was smiling up to her eyes. She watched Francesca go around the corner of their home before she whispered to her brother, "You're such a boy." She was being kind. "What do you think is in those black things they were carrying?" "I don't know. Let's watch and see." A medium-sized young lady walked through the door. Francesca turned around. "There you are, Miranda. I was just saying hello to the von Merlin family. The guys are getting the chairs." "So I see." Miranda waved to the men before turning back to her friend. "I remembered to bring the leather-bound notebook you wanted. Are you ready to tune up?" "Thank you. Yes. My viola was tuned earlier, but this Texas heat can get to it fast." "I know what you mean." The two women took their music cases and placed them on the padded folding chairs. Taking great care, they picked up their string instruments and bows. Tucking them under their respective chins, they began to pluck and tune. Albert brought his case up onto the stage. The cello was extracted in one swift move. He grabbed his bow and sat down, plucking the strings and turning the keys. Victor's violin was sitting on one of the audience chairs. He joined in the cacophony. He turned to see his little family. Their eyes were shut tight. Barry frowned. "Do they call this music?" Red came closer to his children. "No, this is called tuning the instruments. You've heard Victor do this. It never sounded like a wounded animal." "It does sound like cats fighting. Don't worry, it'll be over soon." On stage, Victor von Merlin smiled at his colleagues. "It seems Red's children don't like our current sound. Why don't we play our beautiful sonata for them?" With a brief nod, they started to put their cases aside. The twins watched as the string quartet took up their positions. Victor sat in the first violin chair next to him. In the second violin was Miranda. Albert was in the rear with his cello, and Francesca was sitting next to him and across from Victor with her viola. Victor waved his bow to set the pace. The others nodded in rhythm. The music filled the small theater. Red was dancing with Indigo. The twins were bobbing their heads up and down in time with the beat. Barry became distracted when the front door pushed open. A man in a crumpled brown suit walked to the front set of chairs. Barry nudged his sister as the man sat down. Realizing he was no threat, they turned back to the music. Now they were bouncing their bums against the bottom of the terrarium. The stranger listened to the music. As he took in the full scene, a tear rolled down his cheek. He wiped his face. With a soft sigh, he took out his harmonica. He followed the music another few seconds and then joined in. Barry and Coralie opened their eyes wide. They had never heard a sound like this. They jumped closer to the man and put their face against the glass. Coralie saw the man's cheek puff out and in. Barry, I think if we worked together, we could play that. Maybe so, sis. Let's listen some more. The whole family enjoyed the concert. When the string quartet finished, the frogs began a soft song. Victor waved his bow towards the terrarium. They are singing our praises. Everyone laughed. Victor went down to greet the stranger. Welcome to my humble theater. Thank you. I'm Herman Westfeld. I was passing by and heard you playing. It was so beautiful. I hope you don't mind that I joined in. Not at all. I think the twins were eyeing your harmonica. I may have a little one they can have. Where are they? I mean, Barry and Coralie, the newest members of the family over here in the glass house. Herman turned towards the terrarium. Frogs don't normally play instruments. Then again, they don't normally like human music. You're a lucky man. Yes, sir, I am. Maybe I'll see if I can find the littlest harmonica around these parts and teach them a thing or two. Oh, they would love that. A few months later, Victor had a paid concert. People packed into the small theater. They came to hear the Von Merlin family and friends perform a variety of songs. The hit of the evening was when the twins played a duet on their tiny harmonica. Herman joined them, and the string quartet played backup. Red and Indigo danced the whole night. The crowd went wild. Their standing ovation lasted for 10 minutes. After the people left, the frog twins were bedded down for the night. Barry whispered, Sis, that applause was music to this frog's ears. The end.
I enjoy that so much. What a wonderful follow up story. I mean, the names, Indigo from Red, that they had twins. I mean, this is crazy. What could go on in a person's head? I mean, if you truly enjoy the craft of storytelling, this is something that you'll highly appreciate. I still think that this needs to be a children's storybook series. I can only imagine if it were actually voiced over by different characters in a studio. It would be so something that young kids would want to listen to, that their parents would want them to listen to. Thank you for sharing that. That was a lot of reading for you. And you didn't even sip water. So this is crazy. Um, Audience, I want to thank you so much for being patient as Lynn read all of this. You know, if you were really listening in, you would have picked up the humor, the lessons, how dad can think one thing, kids can think another thing, how siblings can encourage each other, how a complete stranger could be walking by and fall in love with something that you are doing and want to be a part of it as well. You know, there really are so many lessons, whether or not they're meant to be lessons in the stories, they're all lessons that each of us would identify with. I want you to know that you are getting some beautiful comments out there. And these are the comments, and these are the moments that mean everything to a writer. And so tell me, Lynn, right now, how are you feeling about the response of the audience? Because this is something you wrote since 2011. We're here in 2026 and people are appreciating what was written.
Yeah. I love I love it. I really do. But what really tickled me was when I put this book in. The very first one I did was New Apple, and it got basically an honorable mention, and that's against a whole lot of other stories.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
that's wonderful.
yeah, and so that I put that badge on the front of the cover. It's on most of the thing, but I think on the one that I sent you was probably the clear one. I don't remember now, but the person who designed the cover for this book, I had him put the badge on there. It just happened that there was enough space that he could put a large badge on there, and I did that as a reminder to myself that I am capable. You know how you get when
You're
you feel
capable.
like, yeah, because when you write alone, you don't have somebody encouraging you all the time or to co-write with it. It makes you wonder if you're just imagining how good you are. Does that
Well,
make
let me tell
sense?
you something. You just led into my question of what was your biggest challenge as an author and what advice you would give new authors. Because if you truly have this desire and it makes you happy, right? I can't imagine the self motivation it had to take to do that. And like now we're all part of this community of people that embrace storytelling, that are always supporting each other. What you have done is fantastic. I mean, I could only imagine what you're seeing now in this world of crazy, um, constant media in every form, and you have a natural talent and a gift. And I do, guiding brilliant writers, the brilliance of the stories, the writing can be guided. But I completely believe that there are people who are just naturally talented writers and storytellers, whether or not they came up from their experience or in their education of being able to write grammatically correct, etc. Right? But this is curiosity and imagination on a completely different level. And this, to me, is what really sets the standard for people in the non-fiction space. Oh no, in the fiction space. I'm sorry, in the fiction space. No.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. Because fiction is, I think fiction is probably about 10 times harder, at least 10 times harder to do than nonfiction, now that I've done both.
I completely believe you. Okay, like I do a lot of nonfiction, and when is the fiction running in my head? Usually when I'm asleep. Like these
Mm-hmm.
stories are going around in my head, and I wake up in the morning going, "I'm so weird," but apparently I'm not the only weird one. Oh my goodness gracious, I enjoyed this so much. What advice would you give a new author? Let's say stepping into the fiction space because there's a lot of competition out there, and that alone could really, be a hamper on people's inspiration to sit down and start, right? Most people don't ever get started. What advice would you give to new fiction authors?
Well, first off, the best advice that I was given was to read in the genre you want to write in. And they said that because if you have no clue how that genre works, then you are not going to get the audience you want.
Ooh, That is very solid advice.
Yeah.
Very solid advice. Thanks a lot for sharing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that was the best advice that I had. And it also led into me reading a lot of fellow authors' work, but at the same time, we kind of had this thing where we said, well, we'll read each other's work. Well, I think you can tell how that went. It went real well up to the point where some people didn't follow through. So,
yeah, I work with a lot of writers, so I kind of get that. Like,
yeah,
I know what you
yeah.
mean. Um, commitment,
Yes, that's the word right
dedication,
there, commitment. Because
dedication.
I think we all get into our own little space and we love the praise, but we don't want to work and help others. And I think it's been true for me all of my life that I've been a helper. I tend to help people. And so when I have an opportunity to help someone and I say I will help them, I follow through. It
Yes,
might take a
you
little time because I've got all these other things in between, but I do get to it.
you do because when the call went out for recipes for this cookbook, you had your picture, you had your recipe beautifully written out, you had your bio, you had your picture. Um, and honestly, when people commit to something and they take the time to really follow the instruction, they make the entire project a lot easier to manage as well as a lot more enjoyable for everyone being a part of the project. Um, I'm very big on not committing if you can't commit 100%. And for no other, that is not like a job at anything, is that you will not get the best experience out of it if you can't give 100%. And that's the whole point of it, right? For you to
Right.
really gain this beautiful experience. You showed up here tonight. You really like, I can't wait for my book to get here on the 7th. Unfortunately, my book is not getting here till the 7th. And I can see these are stories that I'm going to want to share with my nephew who's 12. I think he's going to love these stories. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to run your video. It's been very glitchy. I'm going to try to run the video. Um,
Okay.
so I can ask a question about one or two other pictures in there. I know we're
Okay.
closing up on time, but we're gonna, hang out a couple extra minutes and do this because it's important. And please, this is everyone's opportunity to support a woman who has not only served our country, but has really and truly, in my opinion, mastered the art of storytelling, preserves what it is to really write from your mind, filtered through your heart by your hand. And this is something that we, in my opinion, right now, with everything that's going on, with how quickly things are moving with AI, we really need to preserve and honor people with this type of talent. Please scan the QR code above Lynn and go purchase her book. Go purchase the book. I am asking you, as somebody that supports many people, to please buy the book. Please share about it on social media. And you know what? If you're not going to read it, buy it for a young one in your family. These are short stories, these are short reads. Lynn, you need to come back on and read again. That is an open invitation to do this. Like when, I really feel it, I have to say it, and I really feel it right now. I'm going to run that video really quick. Thanks, everyone, again, for tuning in, for staying. And I want to learn a little bit more about a couple of these pictures, so just hang tight. Oh goodness. So it's short and sweet, but I guess my one more question. There are some pictures in there with you in uniform, and I'm curious to know, did you stay in touch with some of your comrades, and were they aware of your ventures into storytelling? How was that?
Well, by the time that I actually did this, it'd been many, many, many years. So, but it's funny how once you leave the Air Force, or at least in my case, there was only a few people I kept in contact with, and then gradually we just lost contact. So
Got
I
you.
think they're moving and me moving, and I think that's part of it.
Thank
But
you
I
for being
still
so.
think about him. I still think about him. The first picture, the one that was on, well, the first the there's one with me indoors and one with me outdoors. The one indoors, she was a doctor, and we were it was kind of a surprise party, I think, if my memory serves. And I can't remember if it was for me or for her now.
It was somebody's birthday and we were celebrating, and that was the important part. Oh
That's
my
right. And the other one was that gentleman was the person over me. So he was an indirect supervisor.
well, you have some wonderful memories. You have done some beautiful work. I cannot wait. And look at this. Please share the link to your books. I mean, isn't, I mean, I know for those of us like Annie who go into the work that we do, um, when you find somebody that consistently writes and chooses to publish their work and continues to talk about it, especially in this depth of storytelling, it makes me and I'm sure other publishers feel um, justified in the work that they do and what they've chosen to put themselves into. Just beautiful. Right now, you can get the book that she just read from by scanning the QR code above her and running in the banner, the ticker at the bottom is how you can get in touch with Lynn. That's her LinkedIn. Lynn, what's up next for you, and what parting words would you like to share?
Well, I'm working on a series of nonfiction books. It's it's crazy because we were just talking about how I could help future. Well, one of the books is Lynn's Lessons Learned as a Writer.
I love it. Okay, I
The
must
other,
know about this book so I can help promote it. Must.
as soon as I get it written, I will let you know. That's what I'm working on when I'm not doing other things.
Good. Well, I can tell you one of the other things I know you are doing hugely is out there supporting people. So, on behalf of Transformation Kitchen and HR for You, because I am an advisory board member and I know Jason feels deeply this way. Woo woo! I want to thank you for your continuous and generous support there. It is very much felt. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring you back stage, and I'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Oh, I really enjoyed this episode. I know you guys did too. Um, it's not every day that we get a story or stories read to us in this genre, and I truly enjoyed it. My imagination is now hopping all over the place. My tummy's growling because I'm hungry and it's time to eat dinner. And Chief of Staff Nelly sends her regards to everyone. I want to thank you for all your incredible support of Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing, as well as myself. Just Nick, the person, the bipolar businesswoman, you know, um, the new foster staffy mom. I want you to know that I feel the support greatly. And so I'll end by sharing a pretty cool thing that happened today. Um, And what I feel has been a very big part of my growing success as a hybrid publisher is the power of saying yes, even when you don't know what the next step is. It is scary, but there are people out here to help you. Guiding Brilliant Writers is going into its second year in business, and we are lined up for the year with books to publish. You can get your dreams accomplished. So here's the quick story. At a recent book signing for Letters to Lily that was spearheaded by Alexian Wines and Melissa Cohen in New York City, I went and I met a number of people. One of the gentlemen I met there, his name was Michael Fox. He was the first time attending one of these events through the tavern community. We hooked up on LinkedIn. I set up an appointment to meet Melissa Cohen to have a coffee chat a couple of weeks ago. This gentleman signed in to have a chat with me just a couple of days ago. And incidentally, when I checked my calendar, they were back to back today. I had to share that story with Melissa. And the reason is you never know who you will befriend, what you will learn, and what you would take away from that experience. And I did tell Melissa, there was a time where I thought somebody like this would never know who I was. She's an influencer, top voice on LinkedIn. And she sat with me today and gave me some incredible advice on how to go about setting up my very first book signing for Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing House. And I want to publicly thank her for that. Because there are many, unfortunately, who climb and they won't look back. But there are many who do. I am one of those people, and I've shown that. Lynn is one of those people too. So wait for that book about all the lessons she's learned being a writer. Thank you for joining the person behind the pen. You are greatly appreciated, and I will see you next week.